Gary Trent Jr. is going to be one name that a lot of teams will be looking out come NBA trade deadline. I think it's the worst kept secret in the entire NBA that the Raptors will look to move on from Gary Trent Jr. And we got some rumors surrounding Gary Trent Jr. that several teams are interested in wanting Gary Trent Jr. So I'm going to be breaking all those rumors down for you guys in today's video. So if you're ready to watch, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as hit the like button as well. Let's try to get to 100 likes. And if you're ready to watch this video, guys, let's get right into it. Now, it was being reported by NBA Central that several teams, including the Lakers, the Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Heat, could be interested in Gary Trent Jr. Now, this was Eric Pincus of Bleachers Report, who was pretty much just suggesting these teams. There's no actual rumors linking these teams to Gary Trent Jr., but I could see a lot of these teams being interested. I'm going to be breaking all of those rumors down for this. But before we get started, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel. And the shout out for today's video goes out to Todd. So Todd, thank you so much for supporting this channel to your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now let's go through these list of teams because the LA Lakers, let's be honest, realistically, and no disrespect to Lakers fans, there's not much you guys can give us in terms of not only matching Gary Trent Jr.'s salary, where it's about $18 million. There's not a lot of young pieces. And please do not say Austin Reeves. We are not taking him for Gary Trent Jr. There's not a lot of pieces they can offer us, which would really intrigue the Raptors to make a trade with the Lakers. So for that reason, unless it's a 3-team deal, the Lakers are out. Now, Miami Heat, I actually went through their roster. They do have Nikola Jovic, who I really, really like. But outside of him, they don't have a lot of salary that they can throw in to match Gary Trent Jr. besides Duncan Robinson. So again, for that reason, obviously the Raptors aren't taking Duncan Robinson. Miami Heat are out as well. But also some other teams that really, really intrigue me are the Atlanta Hawks and the Golden State Warriors for obvious reasons. I also want to touch upon the Phoenix Suns very quickly before we move on to those two teams and break down those rumors as well. Now, the Phoenix Suns have Jay Crowder, who makes about $10 million they could throw in, and they could obviously throw in a few more pieces. But again, there's not really an intriguing piece there that the Raptors would really want unless the Raptors decide to include Gary Trent Jr. and another player to make up the salary and potentially, again, not right now because DeAndre Ayton cannot be traded, but DeAndre Ayton, someone they could potentially target in the near future when he is trade eligible. So again, for that reason, the Phoenix Suns are out, but there's two teams I'm excited to talk about. Let's start with the Atlanta Hawks. Now, this is a team that has a lot of awesome contracts that a lot of different players that Raptors could look for. Now, first, I know a lot of people are going to be suggesting John Collins. Now, I know he makes $23.5 million, so the Raptors would need to additionally add a few more, or at least one more player to make that salary work. Maybe Khem Birch, but I do want to say John Collins has already reportedly been frustrated with the Atlanta Hawks for the last few seasons because his offensive role is not where he seems it to be. He sees it to be. So if the Raptors were to trade him, I mean, he's going to be the third and fourth option on the Toronto Raptors besides Pascal, behind OG, behind potentially Scotty Barnes as well, and of course Fred VanVleet. So you're essentially going to have the same situation. And also because John Collins, although he is 6'9", which yes, the Raptors are going with 6'9" players, he's 235 pounds. So it doesn't exactly give the Raptors a legitimate center at the starting position. So for that reason, I'm going to scratch his name out. Clint Capella could be an interesting option. Again, I don't really see the Raptors going for him because of his injury issues. He's also getting into his late 20s, and also he's missed a lot of time, but he doesn't really fit into the Raptors or what they look for in terms of wanting a stretch big. He's a good defensive player. He can block shots, but I'm going to talk about a player who I've coveted and I've wanted the Raptors would trade for quite some time, and that is Bogdan Bogdanovic. Now, as you see there, $18 million, very intriguing player. And if the Raptors want more, which they can easily ask for because he's also has a player option next year, and he can decline that. So I think for the Raptors trading a young 23-year-old for someone like a Bogdan Bogdanovic, obviously you get a shooter first one, Bogdan, who gives you a lot more size. You can play him at the shooting guard position. You can play him at the small forward position. He's very versatile. You can play him in that. Not the greatest of defenders. He's tall. But one thing I will suggest, again, taking a look at the salary here, you could probably ask for a young piece, something like a Jalen Johnson. Now, for those who may not be familiar with Jalen Johnson, he's essentially Ben Simmons, a lesser version of Ben Simmons. I know he doesn't have the best reputation. I'm obviously talking about Ben Simmons here, but Jalen Johnson coming into not this year's NBA draft, but when he was drafted, the thing with him was he's a good defender. He's 6'9", which obviously fits in well. He's very versatile as well. Good defender. He can rebound, but he can't shoot. So again, I know a lot of people are going to be frustrated with that. The Raptors add yet another good defensive player who cannot shoot, but you can teach shooting. You can't really teach defense. Again, you could argue that to a certain degree, but Jalen Johnson would be another intriguing player that the Raptors could potentially want in return for Gary Trent Jr. I'm actually going to go a little bit crazier. This is me being overly optimistic and hoping the Raptors could somehow find a way to maybe include AJ Griffin in there. Again, son of Raptors assistant coach, who would be very, very obviously amazing to have on the Toronto Raptors. Realistically speaking, the Hawks don't give him up, guys. Let's be honest. The Hawks do not give up AJ Griffin. Most likely you acquire something along the side of Jalen Johnson, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and maybe a second-round pick for Gary Trent Jr. It could be a very interesting piece. Again, there's a lot of different pieces when you go through the Atlanta Hawks roster in terms of salary, in terms of young, intriguing pieces that they could potentially look to acquire. But again, we'll see what happens. Let's move on to our second team here, the Golden State Warriors. Now from the Toronto Raptors, I'm asking for Stephen Curry for Gary Trent Jr. No, all jokes aside, this isn't ESPN with our stupid takes. Taking a look at the Warriors roster here, same thing. They have a lot of young, intriguing pieces that you could potentially get back in a Gary Trent Jr. trade. Obviously, they're not trading Andrew Wiggins, nor is Draymond coming back in their Gary Trent Jr. trade. So you obviously look at guys like James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, and no, Jordan Poole isn't coming back either. Maybe Moses Moody. So again, I'm not suggesting those three players together, but if the Raptors are wanting some sort of intriguing pieces from the Warriors, personally, if you ask me, this has been highlighted several times. And shout out to James Welsh. I believe he commented last video as well, suggesting that the Raptors should look at Warriors add a trading partner for Gary Trent Jr. for this reason, Jonathan Kuminga. This is the player I would want the Toronto Raptors to center their trade around. Why? Because they were very interested in him during the draft before they obviously took Scotty Barnes, but Jonathan Kuminga is a very raw, young prospect. His defensive capabilities are amazing. His physical tools are all there. Obviously, his offensive game needs a little bit of work. So again, that's something that a lot of Raptors fans will have to be patient with when we do, or if we do acquire Jonathan Kuminga, is you're going to need a lot of patience with his offensive game, but the defense is there, man. The potential of this guy is amazing. To have another great defender on the Raptors, that's, I believe he's 6'8", 6'9", would be absolutely fabulous. Jonathan Kuminga's ceiling is unbelievable, man. If you were able to somehow acquire him in a trade for Gary Trent Jr., that's a steal. Now, looking at some of the other pieces maybe the Raptors would want, I'm potentially looking at James Wiseman. Again, not the most intriguing given his injury issues. He's still very young, though. I will say this. Now, obviously, you include him because of salary pieces as well. You need to be close to matching that $18 million. He's making $9.6 million. He makes a lot of sense. So, again, you could potentially say Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga, but that equates to around $8-9 million. You're still short about $9-10 million. So, again, that's why I suggest James Wiseman. That could be very, very intriguing piece, man. Like $9 million there, and then you got Jonathan Kuminga making $5.7 million. That's about $16 million right there combined salary. That works for the Raptors, and that works for the Warriors too. The Warriors need someone like Gary Trent Jr., whether they decide to play him off of the bench or whether they decide to play him alongside Stephen Curry at times. He gives them another three-point threat. He's an amazing player. He's 23 years old. This allows the Golden State Warriors to continue not only winning, because although he's 23 years old, Gary Trent has a lot of experience in the NBA. He's going to be one of those players you can build around for the near future with guys like Jordan Poole, with guys like Andrew Wiggins. So again, it gives the Warriors a lot of options with Gary Trent Jr. You can have him off of the bench. You can have him in the starting lineup. I mean, you get legitimate Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Gary Trent Jr., all three-point snipers there. I don't know about you guys. I'm not a Warriors fan, but that is some exciting lineup there, man. Having that much threat from the three-point line is unbelievable. So again, we'll see what happens. This is intriguing to hear these rumors, obviously, as a Raptors fan, but I'm sure as other NBA fan bases as well. But I do want to hear your thoughts. Which of these, not three teams, but about 5 teams or so listed here intrigues you the most? And what players would you look to acquire back in a Gary Trent Jr. trade? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And that trivia question is, who is the second oldest player on the Toronto Raptors? Is it A, Chris Boucher? Is it B, Fred VanVleet? Is it C, Pascal Siakam? Is it D, Otto Porter Jr.? Or is it E, I cannot speak today, Kem Birch? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So again, guys, if you guys are still watching, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up as well. But that will be it for today's video. So thank you so much for watching this video. And I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.